Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. Your host Ray Flowers here on Around the Horn. Wow, I really screwed that up, didn't I? Sounded a little odd. Well, we'll go with it. Video today, instead of writing, so I want to discuss a few things real quickly. First of all, let's talk about the PED mess, the scandal, the biogenesis situation. Bottom line is I have no idea what's going to happen. There's all kinds of rumors and stories floating out there. 20 players possibly being suspended, upwards of 100 games for A-Rod and Braun. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how this legal process is going to play out. I'd be very surprised even if the players are quote-unquote convicted by Major League Baseball if there wasn't some kind of appeal process, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what to do. If you're holding on to these guys, you can't trade them at this point for equal value. If you can, I guess you do it. If someone comes to you and says, hey, I'll give you Clayton Kershaw for Ryan Braun, maybe you accept that. It's a really sad situation for baseball, and obviously it's going to screw up a whole bunch of fantasy seasons. You can keep sending me questions, but honestly, folks, I don't know what to tell you with guys like Ryan Braun. I don't know. So do what you think is best. The dice situation, hopefully we'll have some resolution. The report suggests within 2 weeks we'll know. But for now, we're in a waiting game. On the field, let's talk about some exciting things here. Yasiel Puig with the Dodgers. Everyone's super excited about him. 5 for 8 to start his big league career. A couple of home runs, 5 RBIs last night. Everyone's all excited. Slow the train for Yasiel Puig. Why is that? It's the same thing that I've been saying about Jurickson so far, and it's the same thing I'll say here. Where is Puig going to play? Where? When the Dodgers outfield is healthy. Now we've got Kemp on the disabled list, and we've got Crawford on the disabled list. But when healthy, we've got Kemp, Crawford, and Yasiel in the outfield. Millions upon millions of dollars. I mean, I don't know what it is. This guy's making $60 million a year or something like that. Are you really going to bench Andre Yasiel to play Yasiel Puig? People might say, but Ray, Puig is such a better player. Is he? He's had a couple of good games, folks. You have to understand that. Andre Yasiel may not be an exciting player. He may not be a fantasy superstar. But Andre Yasiel is a 280, 20 home run player. We know that. Yes, he has started slowly. He has rubbed Don Mattingly the wrong way a little bit with his attitude, but that's just who he is. The bottom line is he will produce over the course of the season. With Puig, we've got no idea. If we continue this hot start, maybe we can have a discussion here in another 2 weeks when the outfield is healthy for the Dodgers. But for now, I'd be very, very careful to be depending on Puig to be a fantasy monster. I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup. The second guy to talk about is Anthony Rendon of the Nationals. Exact same situation here. Exact same situation. A minor leaguer with a lot of talent, a guy who's ready to contribute right now, called up for the second time this season with Danny Espinosa finally going on the disabled list with the issue with his wrist. So everyone assumes now Rendon is the guy who's going to start at second base the rest of the year and be the National League Rookie of the Year. Where is that coming from? Where is that coming from? Espinosa, the last 2 seasons, has basically been a 2020 performer. Do you really think the Nationals are just going to throw him to the side and never use him when he comes back from injury? To me, that seems foolish. It seems really foolish. Something needs to be said here. Rendon does have a good stroke, and as I said, he's major league ready. He can hit right now. Doesn't have any speed on the bases. He doesn't have much power either, so he's not necessarily a big boost. His bat will play at second base, don't get me wrong, but he's not a fantasy superstar. With rookies, whether it's Rendon, whether it's Puig, any of these guys, it's about how they do, and it's about the opportunity they have to do it. If these rookies come up and they do great for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe they get another 2 or 3 weeks. If they come up, they struggle for 2 or 3 weeks. Most of the time when they're promoted, it's because someone else was injured or struggling. And if that more veteran-like player, i.e. an Andre Yasiel or Danny Espinosa, comes back from injury, what do you do then with playing time? You know what? You see it in the ninth inning all the time. Don't forget this. Managers, front offices love the been there, done that thing. That's what we see all the time in the ninth inning with guys. Same situation could be here. So be careful not to over-evaluate rookies based on hot starts. 162-game season, 162 games. It's a long year. On the hill, let's talk about 2 pitchers that kind of follow in this. Tyler Skaggs with the Diamondbacks is getting a chance to Brandon McCarthy's injury, and Michael Wacha because everyone with the Cardinals is injured. Now Tyler Skaggs goes out and has a good first game. Kevin Walker went out and had even a better first game. 2 great efforts from those 2 guys the first 2 games. What happened when they pitched on Tuesday night? 2 not so good games. Kevin Walker allowed 6 earned runs in 4 2/3 innings. Skaggs allowed 5 and 5 2/3 innings. This is what happens with young pitchers. Their performances do this. They go up and down, up and down, up and down. Consistency is almost always impossible to find with a rookie. If they start out hot, they get the extra leeway. If they start out cold, they probably don't. Both Wacha and Skaggs have great careers ahead of them, fantastic Dynasty League options, but right now it remains to be seen how long they stay in the rotation, and it remains to be seen how effective they are. Be very careful yet again, over-evaluating a pitcher like Skaggs who could lose his spot in the rotation when Brandon McCarthy returns. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. Tyler Skaggs, very good pitcher, but needs the opportunity. And then Wacha, not a lot of big league experience at all. He's already been said he's on a 150-inning limit this season. They've got 90 or so innings left this year as well. Careful with the two of them. Now let's talk about some injured pitchers, since I just mentioned the situation with Brandon McCarthy. Let's talk about players coming back from significant injuries. Let's talk Tommy John surgery. Ryan Madson has had how many setbacks, folks? 5, 6, 7? He's still not pitching in the big leagues. He was supposed to be fine at the start of spring training. That's example number 1. Example number 2, Brandon Beachy coming back from the Braves. Everyone's all excited about Brandon Beachy, as well they should be, because he's a tremendous talent. What happened in the start in the minor leagues? He had trouble getting loose. Do the Braves do something there? Do they hold him back a little bit? Do they slow the train down a little bit? That's possible. Now I've got the case of Daniel Hudson, who potentially could come up, take the spot, and send Skaggs back to the minor league. Well, that issue has probably been removed in the short term because Hudson had to be removed from his start in the minor leagues with elbow stiffness. No word yet on how long this sets him back, but it could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. There's not always a linear path back from any type of surgery, even Tommy John surgery. So be very careful to not pick up Brandon Beachy thinking you're going to get a superstar in the second half of the season. If he's fully healthy, it's possible. But remember, he hasn't pitched in a long time, and minor setbacks always result in players having their clocks restart, because if you blow out your arm again coming back from Tommy John surgery, you're almost through if it's right away. Guys like Brian Wilson kind of come back from more of a long-term issue, but you don't come back from this issue if it happens the second time in a year. So the teams are going to be very careful with their guys. And one of their pitchers, not a Tommy John surgery, but a shoulder issue, Michael Pineda with the Yankees, hopes to return around the All-Star break, reportedly throwing 93, 94 miles an hour in extended spring training. Everyone's excited about Pineda. Didn't throw a single pitch last year in the big leagues. Okay, none. Is he talent? Absolutely. Where will he be in 3 months? I have no idea. If you've got a DL spot, add him. If you're in the AL only league, add him. If you're in a mixed league, really dicey to add him to your squad, in my opinion. 2 other things. Perez, you've probably heard by now, busted with the dope. Here we go again, idiot players. If you're going to do dope, or you're going to drink, or do any of these things that are illegal, do it at home. You guys got $1 million mansions. Invite the people to your house. Don't be a dumbass about it. Looks like, Vinny Pistano owners are going to get a chance to get maybe potentially more saves, depending on how this works out. Maybe it doesn't affect his on-the-field stuff. We'll have to see. But Pistano and Joe Smith, the 2 guys to look at right now. Perez is supposedly working his way back from the issue he's dealing with his arm, and that shouldn't preclude him from being on the hill in the near future. But the other one is Tim Lincecum. Tim Lincecum, and I know I'm a Tim Lincecum supporter. I'm the biggest Tim Lincecum supporter in the fantasy game. He looked really good last night. 7 innings, 1 run allowed against the Jays. By the way, Jim Johnson in that game making his first start at the table looked really good. His fastball had a lot of movement, and that curveball slider that he was throwing last night, very, very effective. So I'm very impressed with what I saw from him. Can he stay healthy? We'll have to wait and see. Back to Lincecum, looked very good last night. 90, 91 miles an hour. The velocity's not coming back. He's not throwing 95 anymore. But as we saw last night, the secondary stuff is good. If he can trust it, if he can learn to pitch in a different manner than he has previously, Tim Lincecum, as I've been saying all along, can still have a ton of success in this league. I'm not saying he's going to vie for the Cy Young. I'm not saying he's going to be an SP1 in the fantasy game, but he can be very, very good. And to draw one final comparison to Tim Lincecum, and I'm not saying Lincecum's as good as this pitcher. I'm not saying Lincecum's outlook is as good as this pitcher. Tim Lincecum, though, 9.25 strikeouts per 9 innings, 9.25, 4.00 walks per 9 innings, right? 9.25, 4.00. This other pitcher, who everyone wants in the fantasy game, who everyone has in the fantasy game, who everyone's building their pitching staff around in the fantasy game, 8.16 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's a full batter below where Lincecum is at, and a 4.78 walk per 9 mark. That's 3/4 of a batter above the Lincecum mark. Finally, Lincecum's xFIP, normalizing things out for home runs and kind of controlling things that are, recording things that are in his control, 4.00. This other guy, 4.61. So Lincecum has a better strikeout rate, a better walk rate, and a much lower xFIP than the Rays' Matt Moore. He's very careful with Matt Moore. Those walks are going to eventually bite him in the rear end. They started to in his start last night. And take a chance on Tim Lincecum if he's out there. I'm telling you, I'm not a stupid idiot here. I'm telling you, there's still goodness that can come out of that guy's arm. I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. Thanks for joining me on Around the Horn. Talk to y'all again soon.